Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Electrified Rider here. Well, I'm out on the ET Max EUC today on this beautiful spring day. We've got crisp blue skies. The wind is almost non-existent. The sun is shining. Great day to be out on the wheel, enjoying the day. So anyways, I have a topic in mind I wanted to discuss today on the channel. And please feel free to chime in the comment section of this video if you've got anything you'd like to add to the discussion. But basically what I wanted to talk about was seated riding versus standing riding on an EUC. Is one safer than the other? Is one more dangerous than the other? Well, it's not a cut and dry answer. Honestly, there's different aspects to both styles of riding that make it either safer or more dangerous. And so what it really boils down to is your ability to utilize these different styles of riding in order to give yourself the safest riding experience. So here we are heading down a pretty open stretch of road, and I'm looking behind me, looking ahead of me, and the traffic's not too dense, not too thick. I do have a red light ahead of me, so there's really no point in me going down to the seated position. But what I'm doing as I'm approaching this light, I'm going to try to get ahead of some of this traffic to find my space and then transition into seated riding, which is going to give me a more streamlined ride, helping me to cut through the wind, stabilize the wheel, because essentially different things like wobbles are almost non-occurring when you're in the seated position. I've never had a wobble or even an onset of a wobble begin to occur while riding seated on the EUC, and that's one of the main benefits. Now, one of the drawbacks could be your overall reaction time, especially when it comes to making a sharp turn to avoid an obstacle. So overall reaction time can drop significantly when in the seated position, which is why I tend to use it when I have quite a bit of open space around me. And then as I start to get into more dense traffic situations, I'll transition back into standing, because my reaction time increases and I'm also able to be seen better when I'm in the standing position. So here we go, approaching some traffic here. And one thing I'm aware of is that when I'm in line with traffic like this, oftentimes people who may be turning out to the right are not going to see me very clearly if I'm behind, let's say, the last vehicle in a line of traffic. They may be looking to take a right turn off of the side street into the road, and they just see one car coming up. They don't see somebody, crouched down on an EUC behind that car, so you got to be aware of these things. But for this particular ride section that I'm on right now, this seated position, in my opinion, is increasing my safety tremendously just by keeping me streamlined, keeping my wheel more stable. It's actually helping with my range as well, and I'm comfortable. I'm keeping a safe distance. To the cars that are in front and around me. I'm checking behind me quite often to make sure that I don't have any aggressive drivers coming up behind me as well. So here we go again. I'm on a nice wide open stretch of road. And as you can see, as I navigated that turn there, I switched to the standing riding position. Again, it just helps with overall agility, responding quicker, being seen in a situation where you've got, a four-way stop, for example. There's a lot going on there. I like to be up in the standing position. I like to be seen. But now that we've got nice open road ahead of us, and not really anybody behind me, I'm just watching this car, making sure they're gonna stop, let me go. This is a great time once again to transition into the seated riding position. I'm also able to obtain higher speeds in the seated position because of less wind drag, less wind resistance. Which increases your overall safety margin. I'm always looking ahead at the street lights and trying to time it as well as I'm approaching. We are entering one of the more busier traffic times during the day. And now that I'm going to be making a turn, I transition back into standing. I give a hand signal, make my turn. All right, so quick rundown. In what situations do I see seated riding being the safer option when out riding on an EUC? Well, when riding at higher speeds, getting down into the seated riding position helps you to cut through the wind. Less wind resistance against your body equates to more safety in most situations. And also being closer to the wheel, lower center of gravity, also helps to completely negate any onset of wobbles. So at higher speeds, wobbles can become an issue when standing, whether you're just going forward or you're beginning to apply brake pressure. But in the seated riding position, wobbles are virtually non-existent. Ricardo leaves it off. Another safety benefit to riding in the seated position is in the unfortunate event that your wheel may cut out or you may have a fall, the distance you travel from the seated position to the ground isn't as far as if you were standing up, and that could definitely be a positive thing, especially if you're able to slide out the crash. So if you've got gusty, windy days, being able to transition into the seated position is going to be wonderful for your overall safety and comfort of the ride. Which is why I am an advocate that people who haven't yet picked up the skill of seated riding on an EUC try to learn that so that they can include it into their riding style. Now, some of the main benefits, as I see it, when riding the EUC in a standing position, is that you can be seen better. And this is especially important at night. You should have lights on the back of your helmet, not just on the EUC. And if you're wearing a backpack, maybe some lights on the pack, what have you. And this is going to help you to be seen. Sometimes you want to just stand because it can be funner. I find the ET Max to be a wonderful EUC for transition riding. A lot of standing and seated riding combined make this wheel an absolute joy to ride and get you where you need to go very effectively, efficiently. Like here on the left, you see we've got backed up cars all the way down the road. I'm going to utilize the bike trail here, or the bike path, and I want to be standing in this situation. Again, to be seen and to be able to react better if somebody makes an abrupt right turn in front of me without using a turn signal, which happens a lot, or if somebody makes an abrupt right turn off of a side street into this lane, not looking both ways, which also happens a lot. I want to be able to react very quickly to those situations, and I'm able to do so in the standing position much more effectively than when seated. So I think I covered all of the major talking points on this subject. I'd be interested to hear your point of view, anything you'd like to add to the conversation. Love to hear from you guys. Shoot me a comment down below. If you found this video helpful or entertaining in any way, I sure would appreciate it if you smash that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. New uploads coming every week, and I'm always changing up the content to bring you the most value, as I do value your time. So with that, have yourself a good rest of the day, Until next time, this is Electrified Rider. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.